So the US dollar is going to change forever. And I want to provide you with a warning. And this warning has nothing to do with a potential crash, has nothing to do with a banking crisis, has nothing to do with BRICS nations or anything like that. Here's what you need to know. If you turn on the news, you've probably seen the media is questioning how valuable the US dollar actually is. And it's not necessarily because it is potentially crashing. But then you hear from government officials and they come out and tell us that everything is stable, we have nothing to worry about. But is this true? Well, here is what is actually true. This is the truth. The United States is starting to move away from physical cash. Yeah, the dollar. A physical dollar bill. A dollar, a 5, a 10, a 20, a 50, a 100. They're moving away from that. You go into many stores, they'll tell you, we do not accept $100 bills. Why? Well, for one, they could be counterfeit. They don't want to risk a $100 bill or a $100 loss. And if you don't believe me that the US is trying to move away from the physical dollar, then just think about what I'm about to say. Listen to this. All 30 NFL stadiums are now cashless. 29 out of the 30 Major League Baseball stadiums are cashless. Multiple soccer stadiums are cashless. Some restaurants provide a discount if you pay with a card, but if you pay with cash, guess what? You pay a little bit of a fee. And now we're actually seeing that US national parks are going cashless as well. But why? Why would all these different places decide to go cashless? Well, according to many reports, the US government wants to move away from cash and go towards a digital currency. We've heard this before. We've heard the warnings I've talked about before. It's nothing new. But what is new is that more and more national parks are moving away from cash. And if you've ever been to a national park, well, maybe not this year, but in the past, let's say 5 years ago, you go to the national park and they make you pay, $8 for the day. For a car full of people, $8, you get a parking pass, whatever, right? And you take your $5 and you take your 3 ones, you put in a little envelope, you write your car, vehicle's, license plate number, how many people are there, and you drop it in the box. That's it. You go to a national park today, chances are you gotta pull out your phone because they are going cashless, which means that you cannot pay with cash. You gotta either pay over their app, you gotta pay using a debit card. You go up to the machine, stick in your debit card, and then it charges you whatever it charges you. There's even some places where you actually have to have a pass. You have to have either a day pass, a month pass, or a year pass. No more cash. But think about this. And this is why I want to give you this warning. Because if you don't have a bank account, how are you supposed to pay any of this stuff? But think about this. Remember how I just said, in some cases, you got to pull out your phone. You have to use your phone. You have to go and get the app, right? Download the app and then pay through the app. Well, what happens if you go to one of these parks and they have no cell service? What do you do then, right? Is the U.S. government going to pay for better cell reception in a lot of these parks that are out in the middle of nowhere and to allow us to finally pay? I doubt it. And if they do, who's going to pay for that? Do you think as we go into the park, a small little fee is going to be taken off and going to be put aside so that they can pay for better cell reception? No. It's going to be paid for by us, the taxpayers. That's who's going to pay for all this. And think about this. And I have a story for you as well. But what about all these stadiums that are cashless? What happens if somebody doesn't go into the stadium with a card? Let me give you a quick little story. I went to Lumen Field here in Seattle. This was sometime last year. But a fan didn't realize that they didn't accept cash. Their amount came up like $23, $24 or whatever. And instead of letting the lady and her son starve, or and I think they have like machines that can transfer cash to a card or something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but anyway, I just put it on my card and the lady gave me $25. Pretty simple. But what happens when you don't have a card, you don't have a bank account? The US is pushing towards a digital dollar. They want to see everybody go cashless. But why? Well, the one thing that we've heard from about before is digital currency can easily be tracked. Remember how last year there was a big push that anytime you spend over $600, that the U.S. government wants to be notified that, okay, well, this person just bought this thing or that thing and paid for this or to this person. They want to know all that stuff. They want to track every single dollar that we spend. But again, there are going to be problems, and that's not the only one. Doing this also excludes those without a bank account. And from what we learned yesterday, there's a push to see larger banks pay an increased fee in order to make up that $23 billion that was lost, or that the FDIC lost as a result of the two failed banks just recently. And guess what this means? The larger banks have to pay this increased fee, but do you think they're just going to pay it and lose profit? No. They're going to pay it, and then they're going to figure out ways to raise their fees so that you and I both pay it. So, as a result, what's going to happen is the government, now having to, or you go cashless, it's going to cause all of us to go and get bank accounts if we don't have one already. In order to do that, in order to function in a cashless society, you have to have a card. Guess what? If you don't have a card, go and get one. Remember I just said that the Treasury is now considering giving or charging a larger fee to these large banks in order to make up that $23 billion in losses. Who do you think is going to pay that? Us, people with bank accounts. And if we go cashless, we're in a cashless society, everybody has to have a bank account. Let me just give you this fact right here. According to the U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee, they say that 20% of adults are either underbanked or unbanked. Now, unbanked essentially doesn't mean they don't have a bank account. Unbanked means they do not have a bank account with FDIC insurance of $250,000. That's unbanked. Underbanked simply means they have an FDIC insured bank account, but they regularly use alternative financial services. That is underbanked. 20% of U.S. adults are either underbanked or unbanked. So what does this mean? Well, if we can't go into a restaurant and pay for our food because we only have physical cash, guess what? These 20% of people now have to go and either get a card so that they can pay with a card, or they don't go into that restaurant. What about people in stadiums? Same thing. What if you want to go to a park? Guess what? You can't. You can't go to the park. Why? Because you need an account. And you can't download the app and pay with physical cash. You have to have a bank account. This is turning into a major problem. And this is why I say that the US dollar just changed forever. Because even, I think it's Mount Rainier National Park here in Washington State. I believe it's on May 16th or something. It's sometime in the middle of May of 2023. They're going to go cashless, which means you have to pay with a card. So this isn't going to be the last time we hear about this. More and more businesses are going cashless. More and more parks are going cashless. We are seeing this as the new norm. So just be well aware this is happening. And as it happens, a lot of people are going to be severely impacted because they will not be able to do these things anymore simply because they have been using cash. So as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. Again, Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.